Hey guys, despite my hatred of open air rigs, such an open air rig, the Vidhas actually kind of look okay, and the Energias look ugly, but they work for what they're created to be, and that would be cool if either the Nanogia or the Vidha. Also, I like how they made that one single unit as opposed to multiple broken up little pieces. So, basically, I'm going to explain something. I'm going to build a couple open air rigs, even though I'm not the biggest fan of them. Why? They get really dirty and they don't stay as cool as like shelf racks. So keep that in mind. And overall, they'll take up way more space in the long run. So that is an old keyboard. It's a really old server case. It's a really old server. But it's refurbished and it works. And stable. And you can actually keep up with modern computer speeds. Then again, I'm running Linux, which doesn't have a whole lot of background programs. I'm going to redo that whole mess with the wires. Getting a new power supply. I probably won't have it in for another week since it's coming from the East Coast. So that's going to bite me in the butt. As buying stuff from the East Coast does. So, allow me to zoom in a little bit. That is a BioStar TB250 12 GPU board. That is a 6 GPU frame. I do not believe in you should only use 6 to 8 GPUs per frame. I believe you should use 12 GPUs if your board allows for it, 13 if your board allows for it. And I think people are insane for suggesting otherwise. But what if it fails? Well, I'm not running Windows. Like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like, everything just boils down to, oh, I'm running Windows or Linux, as opposed to I'm running a dedicated mining OS that's controlled from a web GUI. I could remote restart mine in the event of a power outage. So that's what I'm planning on doing. I'm also, if I can't match cable colors, I'm just going to get EVGA, like power link cables, which are a little right angle bracket that serves as an adapter, which should be able to supply power. I'm getting a 3,300 watt power supply, which I will refer to as a 3,000 watt power supply. As I think it's 3,000 in a 120 volt and 3,300 in a 240 volt. Whatever, it's a good power supply, it delivers the power I need, and it should be able to run the board. Pretty sure I've shorted that, so it'd be nice having separate cables for everything. I'm probably going to have to store it differently because the way I mounted that board. I'm going to end up having to drill out the frame to mount it properly. So I'll space things out and see how that goes. Can disconnect everything. I was mining off the Celeron, now I won't be, so. It is what it is. I plan on trying the Asus 19 GPU boards out. And I plan on getting like bigger Vidha cases from Vidha directly, but they're kind of cheap to buy them. Sometimes cheaper to buy them off eBay and Amazon, like the board itself. Like that board cost me like $45 to $50, and you can get it for $35 off eBay nowadays. So I'm like, got ripped off. It did come to Celeron, so that was a good cool bonus. Celeron was like another $40. Yeah. And that ended up like I added them to cart as a deal together and I paid for them individually, so it still ended up cheaper in the long run because I could distribute it over multiple cards, credit cards. I mean, then there's that's a Vega 56. Like, yeah, the Founders Edition card from XFX. So it's not an aftermarket card. I wish it was an aftermarket card because they actually perform way closer to calculated like hash rates, but whatever, it's stable, it'll work. I'm gonna have to get some right angle cables just because of the spacing on this, so like I don't damage like my USB cables that are going into my mining rig. I am gonna swap out whatever risers I have in there I'm going to swap out the board. This will eventually be a 12 card rig. You see, these are supposed to be stackable. So if I get like an extra couple of those things, I'm going to stack another case on top of this and actually maybe put it upside down, kind of on purpose, so that like that top bedding will be used for storing stuff on top of it, and this whole setup will be a lot lower. Or, you know what, I can just drill that setup to allow for the cards. It's not a big deal. And then whatever, then it'll just have like spare space to use for the... Basically, if I put it upside down, it's going to have spare space. I just have to push that down lower. And to use for storing more stuff on top of it. And I'm still trying to figure out a way to connect all those without drilling and adding T-track. Because I don't just want to use the little connector pins that they use at the bottom of these things. Because I don't think it's the most stable connection, but we'll see. I want it perfectly level without having to do a lot of work in measuring whether or not it's perfectly level. So, still, it's a stable rig. I can eyeball it, and it will stay stable just fine. I'm going to have to drill it to fit my motherboards. Big shock, not really. So, it is what it is. It's a good rig frame. One I personally would enjoy more. I have to order some 5-piece fans for it. I like that it's 5 fans and not 4. The T2 uses like 4 fans. It is a better design, don't get me wrong. I actually like the T2 a lot better. But I like this one has 5 fans instead of 4. The T2 is smaller form factor. It's meant to be put on a shelf. Blah blah blah. It would work better. Let's see if we can get 12 card like T2s. Then I have to find a way to get a 19 card or a 20 card for the like not TB250, the B250 from Asus that has 19 GPUs for it. I know the USB one you're required to like run mining editions for like the first 6 in order to use all 19 slots. Otherwise, like, you pretty much get capped out at, like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to remember the exact number. At, like, 6 to 8 GPUs. I guess 8. But, really, here's what I'm getting at. BIOS is pointless when using a dedicated mining software. Dedicated mining softwares are Linux-based, they could support more GPUs. So it's kind of like if you have like a solid-state drive with HiveOS written on it. I was running a flash drive, which now seems kind of cracked. Shocker. So I had to like reflash the flash drive. It's not physically cracked, it's just I had to reflash it. Then yeah. So now I'm pretty much against using flash drives when I was originally for it. HiveOS is meant to be run off a solid-state drive. An Octominer with HiveOS would be a cool thing to try out. As well as, there's these like 16 times 16 GPU boards and kits from Blackbox.cat I would like to try. I think their actual company name is Ethereal Capital. Back when, like, so long story short, there used to be a group called Minority on Discord. They disbanded fairly recently. And they're like, we're just gonna focus on co-location. And they're supposed to be coming back in like 2 years' time or something, which I doubt will happen. Just, oh god, a company still exists, but their minority venture ran into some roadblocks. So, here's my thing. You guys know I'm trying to start a company that sells dedicated mining hardware.